Hello, my name is Shelley Rugg. I'm the gallery coordinator here at Gallery Route 1. Welcome and thank you for tuning in to our Box Show virtual Docent Talks. 2020 marks the 21st year for the Box Show, and it will be remembered as the virtual Box Show for many years to come. We are truly grateful to all the artists who donate their talents to make these delightful pieces for you to bid on, so that we can raise money for Grow's exhibitions and outreach programming. We have invited some very special Box Show artists and collectors to talk about the boxes so we can get a good look at the artistry and imagination that went into each work of art.
Hello and welcome to the Box Show. I'm Vickisa. I'm a member of Gallery Route 1. I've made a box and I've also been making a box since the gallery started the Box Show, though we think 21 years ago. And I have been helping other people that have signed on that are new, and we have people that have been doing boxes for years as well. It's a great mix, it's a great show, and we're going to docent you through it. This box is by Peter Belloc, and it's the Time Machine, which is obvious because there are watches all over it. It's time to take a gentle spin. So it spins around. And let's see if I get time to create fun again. No, time for reaching out. Well, there are a lot of things that you can do with this box, and it's fun. So that's number one. Number two is Rejoining the World by Susan Radcliffe. And you can see there are lots of coins and things that represent places from other countries, and there are people and penguins from other countries. It's a collage. It's also got if you get lost, you can just use your compass to find the way. And her statement is, after struggling with complexities of the year 2020, I have decided to turn my attention to the future. In time, we will re-enter the world with all its wonder and cultural diversity, acceptance of everywhere and everyone and everything, joining in the cultural diversity which creates an empathetic world. Susan Radcliffe, that's a really nice sentiment, and it's carried through a lot in the Box Show. So we're moving on to number three. Parcheesi 2020 for the Box Show by Evelyn Whitburn. She says, I would like to encourage you all to learn more about the history of this game. It's a great way to research geography. Well, I don't know anything about Parcheesi, but this box is just gorgeous with these trophies, and what a great way to use trophies. It makes you feel so good. And I don't understand the game, but these things that she made are really beautiful. And it made me want to learn about Parcheesi, because she wrote, I love the Box Show. When wondering what to do for this year, I was waiting for inspiration to strike. You know, setting the table for the muse, and then it happens. After picking up my box at the gallery, I went to meet my friend at the nursery down the way. When I walked in, I saw a bookshelf, a well-loved box of Parcheesi, an old friend and game I remember loving. I think it's the game pieces and the graphic shapes and colors on the board that I loved so much. I'm not sure what it is, but I feel a really strange connection with this game. Number four is by Deanna Gelosi. When you walk by it, it does that every time. It's titled Amphizoa gelosia. And she made one last year that was a giraffe. She does moving parts all the time. And as I move, I can't figure out how, but when people walk by, they're going to see that. See, there it goes again. I'm not sure what makes it happen, but she says a newly discovered insect in the Amphizoa genus was made in 2020. Amphizoa gelosia is a common beetle named after the scientist who discovered it at home during shelter in place. This specimen is so well preserved that some claim to see it move. Oh, that's great. Okay. Number five is To the Woods by Lenny and Stephen Marshall. This is a teepee and a nice place to go camping, and you can see the beautiful white clouds and the little setup for the camping gear. And it's just a nice, simple box, and their statement is, "To the Woods is a celebration of the escape to nature, a tiny technicolor, multicolor campscape as imagined by Lenny Marshall under the box-making mentorship of her uncle, Stephen Marshall." So I get that she's a younger person working with her uncle. Box designers and builders of number 6 are Aaron Ludlow and Karen Creeler. This is called Indoor Sports Foosball. And as you can see, you actually can play the game with all these little guys. And I remember in the Catskill Mountains, we used to have these, and I always really loved playing this game. And it comes with its balls, and it's quite large, as you can see, because it makes me look small, which is hard to do. So that's Foosball. If you're a fan, come and see it online. And number 7, Sheltering in Place by Renata and Medea Santerre. I have been lamenting that I have not been able to drive my red truck all over the landscape, hence my timely depiction of what is happening to me and all of us in these challenging times. I think the box is a bittersweet manifestation of those feelings. And I do get that, but I just think it's so sweet. This truck is so adorable. And the little owl that's watching over. And there's a spider web, which is a little scary. And I guess there's a lot of that happening as the pandemic marches. Box number 8, Lucky Charms Cereal by Doug and Andrea Apatow. This is a couple that's worked on the Lucky Charms cereal. They must really love it because they think it's full of faith, joy, patience, etc. Well, there's compassion, equality, hope, adventure. You can see that that is really well thought of. And it has a whole bunch of lucky things inside. And the other side has hearts, stars, horseshoes, cloves, all the shapes I imagine that they come in. I have to say I've never had Lucky Charms, but I think that they probably start breakfast with it every day, is my guess. Anyway, they seem to really love it. So they say, Doug and Andrea Apatow have long considered themselves non-working artists. However, there is an art of sorts to each of their careers. Doug was a talent agent and Andrea a landscape architect in Los Angeles. Both of their adult children went on to art universities, Pratt in Brooklyn and School of the Art Institute, Chicago. While the Apatows love art, they hope to spend more of their retiring time in Inverness creating art. And now we are going to Geraldine Leah Bratton's number 9 box, which is a misapprehension of Holsteins. She says, hey, have you heard about the cow video that's gone viral? She did write that down, and here are all these cows watching TV, and I guess you can pick them out by their colored pom-poms. It's very black and white everywhere. Black and white cows. This checkerboard is fun. I like it. So that was number 9. We're now on number 10, which is Janet Pito, and it's untitled, and it seems to be a theme here of barn animals, and these are all little goats that are everywhere, and I'm wondering what happens if you do this. Oh my gosh, there's more goats, and I think they have been COVIDed. I'm sorry to say, so let's close that up. These guys are getting out, and here's COVID waiting in the silver box. That obviously is very timely. Now, we are moving on to number 11. Number 11 is The Future Sight by Jonathan C. Lewis. Quotation, I walk backward into the future with my eyes fixed on my past. It's a Maori proverb. Materials found are objects, recycled ephemera, and salvaged objects. The wood box, the Nina Ricci ad, the Roman frieze, images from National Geographic, there's maps, and there's also this cattywampus kind of look of things as if something has happened to disturb them. They're not just in a regular way. And I just love the surface of this beautiful way he painted the box. It's just really a pretty box. And it's grass wallpaper, black sand, seashells, acrylic paint, and it's a box with a little frame so you can look through it to see this beautiful, beautiful woman. I guess it's Nina Ricci, I guess. So, moving to number 12. Number 12 is Quick Change from the Depths to the Heaven. It's by Jasper Starfinder Thalen, an old friend. I just love his thought pattern. And these are obviously all cards from some kind of game which I don't exactly recognize. But he's a teacher at Drake High School and does all the art, and known him for years. And he writes, in the midst of this challenging time in the world, this box is about the potential for us to change, emerging better, stronger, kinder, ready to soar. And that's a thing of Jasper's. He's always really very positive and is great with kids, and he's a wonderful person. So here it's, what is this game? I don't exactly know. Facts of the turn. I don't know, but there it is, and he's used it well. And there's a lot of water images here, which I really like, because water seems to be something that's really important right now. And we're going on to number 13. Oh, the fun box of Playtime by Leslie Forrestal. And if you hit it, it moves, and it will move in and out. And it seems like it's a little carnival event. And it seems like you have to move it in again. There you go. That's easy enough. So that's the deal of that beautiful, bright red, white, and blue and yellow box. Number 14 is called The Pallbearers. Oh, I'm going to kill this. It's Pavane pour un ourson en peluche de foot. I think it's French. And so I'm going to show you this box because it has faith, love, hope, and believe. It's another, people are really trying to have some hope and love. But then you see a little girl with her wonderful teddy bear, and you open it up, and there is the wonderful teddy bear in his little coffin. But she says, so after pondering a bit, I came up with the idea to do a takeoff on the title of one of Ravel's well-known impressionistic compositions, and that's the name of it. The art box would be a child's coffin, but in this case, to bury a young teddy bear and carried by 6 grown adult black bears. Her work is conceptual, and she contemplates an idea for a while before commencing execution. She's wonderful drawing, and my art most usually combines my love of anything nostalgic and of our antique and vintage natures, including animals, music, dance, and in this case, the teddy bears. I hope this work tickles your senses. Number 15 is The Garden Joy by David and Kathleen Glaubinger. The image of the box came to him in a dream, and I think it's quite obvious, but it's a very sturdy box and actually moves. And it's like you just carry your own garden wherever you want to go. There you are. And there's a tiny little person in the garden that is ensconced in the moss, the beautiful moss, and the lovely fake flowers. Number 15. That's number 15, and number 16 is by Vasilia Martha Emanuelides, and she is calling it Edible Punch. What's interesting about this box is, all the different images, but I have to reach in and move them because they're mirrored, and they also are magnetic, so you can change it around. When you get tired of that, you can change it. There's a lot to see in this box. So it's interesting, this black and white images, and then she uses the colored images, and on all sides it's covered. It's one of the most colorful boxes in our show, and it says, "There's something about working within constraints that helps me be more creative. A simple box provided a simple grid. 3/4-inch squares limited to the free edible magazines and an old Victorian reader book that I had laying around for years. Then the fun began, putting the colors, the pictures, and shapes together. Brought hours of meditative delight. I hope each time the viewer looks at this box, they will see something perhaps surprising." And now we're at box number 17 by a contributor, Rich Schiller. It's called Abstract Fantasy, and it's paper, metal, float, acrylic with origami folded butterflies. If you look around, these butterflies are almost melding in with the earth, and the box is melding in with the earth. And I'm not sure this is the earth at all, but if it is, it's a very colorful rendition, and if it's just a round sphere, it's nice too. So he is actually a chiropodist, or what do you call them, a foot doctor, I think, of some sort. And he also likes to play with paint. So now we're going to 18. Can I say that this is one of my favorite boxes, because I stayed in a place in Mexico that looked so much like this, and the detail in this box is just remarkable. The building of these tiny little windows with the tiny glass in there. There's actually glass in there. There are pedestals that keep it up out of the rainforest, which I'm imagining it's in. I'm really not sure, but the artist Jeffrey Abbott and Linda Bizzari call this Reflection Among Redwoods. Inspired by the grain in the wood of the original pine box and in the period of deep contemplation, we designed a treehouse in the Redwoods as a place for self-reflection. The interior of the box is composed of items easily found in nature. Bark and small branches fell to the ground from the redwoods and sycamore trees, multicolored rocks, shells, and pebbles from the North Beach and Point Reyes, and a love of intricate simplicity. Our hope is that you find sparks of light within yourself as you gaze into the box. It seems like this wish for people to have something to hold on to. It's the pandemic respite, and people are taking that time in these boxes. Look at this wonderful sea scene with it's a very shiny, glassy Jim and Lily O'Brien box titled Sheltering in Place, and it's number 19. And I love there's a boy mermaid and a girl mermaid, which is isn't that so? And yeah, I think that's really nice. And then they have their own little concert, and there's beautiful shells, and some are local, and the sand dollar, which of course is very representative. It's just full of sea life and shininess and hope. And they say our love of all things tropical, including snorkeling and diving, is reflected in the whimsical collage mixed media fantasy piece, which has us sheltering in place underwater, surrounded by colorful marine life, plants, and shells. Now, yum. We are on to Chocolate Cream Pie by Kathy Calloway. It is number 20, and you can see all the ingredients, the recipe. I think I would love this on my kitchen window, and by my kitchen window, and I think it's just a wonderful piece. I love these pieces, and I love the way she took Desperate Times Call for Decadent Desserts by Kathy Calloway. And she says, I certainly needed a break from pandemic and politics. What better escape than chocolate and whipped cream? Working with the stray stuff in my studio like styrofoam, I love creating this slice of decadence. And yes, I did test the recipe beforehand. I love that. Kathy Calloway. Number 21 is Home Sweet Home Life in Quarantine by Susan West. Okay, so you can see that there's everything you could possibly need in this box under quarantine. And I remember that she had Scott towels. Where she ever found little Scott towels and all these fun things in Monopoly game? If you need a course on how to get through the pandemic, you can talk to Dr. Anthony Fauci, or you can just look at this whole array of things and then just give a good scream. And then she says, like everything else on the planet, coping with this terrible pandemic, I found inspiration from Edvard Munch's painting, The Scream. My box is a sort of time capsule of what we were all dealing with, life in shelter-in-place quarantine. Our lives revolted around washing our hands, soap, Perchel, etc., all of the things that are in the box, all while looking for guidance from our COVID guru, Dr. Fauci. This box, number 22, is by Leslie Clore. It is reminiscing with Mr. Bariclow's dog. That's the title. Leslie Clore tells us that it's about a guy who used to walk his dog, I think a long time ago, and every time he walked his dog peed on his leg. And he just looks like he's in wonderment. It's a wonderful figure that she's collected, and a crazy dog. And this has some kind of musical element that it plays, but I'm not exactly sure what makes it go. But it does have there it is. Touch it gently and you get some music. There it is. So it also has these images around it that are sort of old-fashioned. I think it's in Mr. Bariclow's time. We're going to move on to this one, which is really a kicker, called The Accident. It's by Susan Church. And I think it's almost self-explanatory, but I just love the old-fashioned chair and the guitar and the glass. I mean, it's perfect, and there's so much like this happening during this time that I think she really caught it. And she says, this box came from an image that popped into my head in the late 60s, or was it early 70s? My living room was furnished only with an overstuffed chair facing a plate glass window. Originally, I visualized a blue and white 49 Ford. I hoped that one day I would learn to paint and could memorialize it. To date, I have not learned to paint. Oh, I have learned a few things from this project. Don't place all your faith in frog tape. Best not to wash brushes in the kitchen sink. There would be an accident too, but I'm not sure it's box friendly. A yellow 64 Chevy Impala roars off a cliff as beachgoers below. Ignore it. I love that car. I think my father had that car. So we're moving on to number 24. 24 is Hugh Lamb, and it's called Brief Statement for COVID-19 Diary. And I just love the action in this. It's a very quiet piece in some ways, but look, when you start opening up all these drawers, there's something for everyone in every drawer. And it's so neat. Everything opens up. You have everything you need, your little computer, and you need a dog for sure. So he says, I wanted to create a box that was a bit of a time capsule to represent many familiar families' realities over the past 5 months of 2020. Being home with a happy, though sometimes bored pup, gardening, baking, lots of consumption, working from home, and all the recent social changes. So there's a little roof garden. And then going to 25, box number 25, Too Independent for a Coven. Jessica Rasmussen and Madeline Behrens Brigham apparently worked on this together at long distance. To assemblage artists have made a tradition of doing the box show together, an annual collaboration. The Too Independent for a Coven group offers their second year's entry. Same title, same women, different boxes.